like I mattered. I believed them. And then the room grew quiet. One by one, their voices dimmed. Their backs turned. Their shadows stretched long across my soul and disappeared. You don't notice betrayal all at once? No. It seeps in like poison, slow, silent. One missed call, one ignored cry, one excuse wrapped in a smile, and then nothing. The louder I screamed, the quieter they became. I reached for hands that once swore to never let go, but they slipped through me like smoke, like ghosts that never meant to stay. I used to stare at those chairs and ache. Ache for the voices that once filled the room. Ache for the warmth that never truly existed. I thought I was the broken one. I thought maybe I deserved the silence. But now I understand. Those chairs were never full. They were illusions. Temporary placeholders for temporary people. People who smiled while I bled. People who vanished when I needed them most. People who called it bad timing while I drowned in the storm. Don't sit at that table anymore. I don't wait for them to return. I don't chase echoes. I don't chase ghosts. Let them keep their silence. Let them keep their absence. Because I've made peace with the empty. At least it's honest. They taught me something without even realizing it. They taught me that loneliness is better than betrayal. That silence is safer than hollow promises. That I was never one of them. Never meant to be. And I've stopped. Needing what they never gave. I was the fire that kept them warm, even as I turned to ash. They laughed in the light I gave them, while I melted in silence. They praised me when it was convenient, when it served them, when it made them look kind. But when the night fell, when I shivered, when I broke, they vanished. You see, I fed them. Fed them loyalty, time, devotion, fed them pieces of myself. Until there was nothing left on my plate but crumbs of what I used to be. They ate like kings, feasting on a dying lamb, and I smiled while I starved, because I thought that's what love was. Sacrifice, silence, suffering. I gave them comfort while I bled. I stood behind them while they stood on me. I was the shoulder they cried on, the wall they leaned on, the grave they buried their guilt in. And the worst part? I thought that made me strong, thought enduring made me worthy. If I gave more, they would see me. If I bent farther, they would hold me. If I broke quietly, where were the voices I lifted when mine cracked? Gone, all of them. I was never their friend. I was a convenience, a tool, a placeholder. They loved the idea of me, but never the weight I carried, never the tears I hid, never the truth beneath. My silence? And now I don't break for anyone. I don't pour from an empty soul. I don't kneel so others can stand taller. I don't offer my fire to those who once watched me burn. Not anymore. Let them starve now. Let them feel. I was drowning, and they watched. I was screaming, and they stayed silent that day. Words fake, all their promises empty, all their love conditional. I looked around, eyes swollen, voice gone, heart shattered, and what did I see? Nothing. Not a single hand, not a single soul, just shadows. That day I realized loyalty is a currency, They spent like thieves. And I was bankrupt. They were never building me up. They were hollowing me out, slowly, quietly, until I was a husk, still smiling, still holding on, still hoping. But hope is a rope, and I was hanging from it. I remember how the world went still, how time slowed, how my pulse echoed in my ears like a war drum, and I waited for the footsteps, for the knock, for the voice that would say, "I'm here." It never came. That day, something in me died. The last flicker of innocence, the final drop of trust, gone. I used to believe in people, used to believe in connection, in loyalty, in love. But belief is a dangerous thing, because when it breaks, it shatters everything. With it, I remember crying. Not like a victim. It's silence, and silence is the loudest thing you'll ever hear. At first, it crushed me. At first, I begged for noise. Any noise, a voice, a whisper, even a lie. Something to distract me from myself. But no one came. So I was left with the only person who never abandoned me. Me. I spoke to the void, and it finally answered. Not with words, but with truth. In the silence, I found the pain. Every wound I tried to ignore, every scar I laughed through, every betrayal I brushed off, it all came roaring back, louder than thunder, sharper than blades. I was drowning in memories, but I didn't run. Not this time. I sat with my demons, looked them in the eye, and I listened. I listened to the screams I never let out, to the grief I buried under smiles, to the rage I swallowed for the comfort of others. And in that stillness, I found something stronger than any apology. Found me, not the version they liked, not the version they could use, but the raw, ugly, unfiltered truth of who I am. And I realized, I don't need their validation. I don't need their praise. I don't need to be understood to be real. They made me believe that being alone was a curse. But they were wrong. Being alone was the cure, because in isolation I stopped shrinking to fit their expectations. I stopped bleeding to keep their hands clean. I stopped apologizing for existing. They wanted me small, silent, soft. But silence didn't break me. It rebuilt me, word by word, layer by layer, stronger, colder, cleaner. They tried to shame me into submission, tried to guilt me into staying weak. But I'm done carrying their burdens. Done feeling sorry for becoming something they can't control. I was born in their approval, but I was reborn in their absence. Every lie they told stripped away my illusion. Every betrayal cut away the parts of me that still begged for love. I used to ask, why wasn't I enough? Now I ask, why did I ever think they were? I am not here to be liked. I'm not here to be understood. I'm not here to fit into a mold built by cowards. I am here to become, to rise, to roar, to reclaim every piece they tried to erase. And I don't owe them softness. I don't owe them silence. I don't owe them anything, because the silence that once haunted me now follows them. And I have become the voice they can't ignore. Let them wonder where I went. Let them choke on the quiet they left me in, because I don't need their noise anymore. I have my own voice now, and it's louder than their absence will ever be. I used to whisper their names like prayers, like spells that might bring them back to the way things were, back to the lie I clung to like a child hugging a loaded gun. Now I can't remember a single one. Not the way they laughed, not the way they said my name, not even the way they left. I buried them, not in graves, in silence, in the space they once filled, the space I burned down myself. They were gods in my mind, now not even ghosts. Just smudges in a story I no longer tell, just shadows I know. Longer chase, people ask me if I'm bitter. No, bitterness. I wouldn't rage, I wouldn't speak, I'd stare through them, like they were never there. Because in the end, never truly were, once I needed them. Now, I don't even remember their names. They thought they were breaking me, but they were building something they could never contain. They built me out of weakness. I rebuilt from rage. I used to wait, for love, for answers, for a sign that I mattered. Not anymore. I no longer knock. I no longer wait. I tear the door off its hinges. They made me beg once. Now I don't ask. They taught me silence. Now I speak in thunder. They taught me suffering. Now I walk with fire in my veins. They called me dramatic. Too intense. Too cold. Too much. And I am. I am too much for their shallow hearts. Too sharp for their soft lies. Too aware for their illusions. I no longer seek comfort. I no longer seek peace. I don't want the calm. I became the storm. Every scar is my lightning. Every betrayal my thunder. Every scream they ignored now echoes in my power. They thought they left behind a victim. But what rose from that wreckage was not someone they could recognize. Not soft. Not kind. Not forgiving. I stopped asking why. Stopped wondering what I did wrong. The only question I ask now is who dares to stand in my way? I don't want revenge. I want distance. I want indifference so brutal it leaves them begging to matter again, but they won't, because I don't look back. I don't return calls. I don't explain my evolution to the people who prayed I'd stay the same. They made me feel like too much. Now I make them feel small. They made me question my worth. Now I make them question their existence. I walk with a fire they'll never control. I speak with a voice They'll never silence. I stand with a spine they tried to snap, but COULD in single quotes. And now I don't flinch. Now I don't wait. I don't hope. I move like vengeance wrapped in silence. It's like justice born in shadow. It's like fury dressed in elegance. This isn't about proving them wrong. This is about proving myself right. I don't need their permission. I don't need their recognition. I don't even need them to watch because I don't rise for applause. Rise because I refuse to stay beneath them. I became the thing they warned me about. The force they feared. The version of me they couldn't manipulate. I became the storm. And now they'll never find shelter again. Let them watch. Let them whisper. Let them choke on the silence they once gave me. Let them whisper. Let them rot in the shadows they left me in. Because I don't speak their language anymore. I don't walk their roads. I don't answer their cries. They look up now. Not in love. In fear and regret. They wonder if I still remember them. I don't. They wonder if I still feel I don't. They wonder if I'll come back. I won't. They thought silence would break me. But now the silence belongs to them. I don't scream anymore, they do. In whispers, in corners. Too afraid to speak my name, too ashamed to face what I became. I don't return to the past. I don't carry old names. I don't revisit empty graves. They had their chance. They buried me. Now, they get to live with the truth. I rose alone. I rule alone. I remember no one. Let them talk. Let them spin.